Our next track is titled Math During COVID-19. And starting it off will be Dr. Lina Shanley, Research Assistant Professor, Center on Teaching and Learning, University of Oregon. Dr. Shanley's presentation is titled Using the NumberShire Integrated Tutor System to Provide Distance Math Intervention.
Hi, my name is Lina Shanley. I'm a Research Assistant Professor at the University of Oregon. I work at the Center on Teaching and Learning, and I'm super happy to join you today, talk a little bit about NumberShire, and I just want to thank everybody for attending this unconference, especially in these challenging times. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about our NumberShire Integrated Tutor System and some of the resources I think are particularly useful for helping to provide distance math intervention. So I'm going to talk first just a quick thank you to our funders, and then a brief overview about NumberShire itself, and then sort of more about the NumberShire Integrated Tutor System. And then I'm going to focus primarily on best practices and some suggestions for using the teacher dashboard, and then finish up with a slide that tells us how you can contact us to gain access to NumberShire and to get more information. So first, I just want to thank our funders. NumberShire has been supported by a range of departments in the U.S. Department of Education and a range of grants we're very thankful for. Currently, it's supported by a grant through the Office of Special Education Programs, and the intent of that grant is to build support, so this integrated tutor system, around the NumberShire game to help integrate NumberShire into the classroom, but then mostly to help support and improve math outcomes for students with and at risk for math difficulties. So what is NumberShire? It is a supplement to core instruction, so a supplemental game that's intended to support student learning of foundational math content. So it covers whole number standards, no measurement, no geometry, but all of the foundational content. And then it follows this narrative arc and that's set in a Renaissance themed world. So all of the math content is embedded into the theme and the story of the game. And those stories are broken into instructional chapters, and they're 4-part per chapter, and each includes some sort of big event that the village and the Shire is preparing for, and the students help as apprentices in the game. So the integrated tutor system then itself, it has all of these components sort of built around the NumberShire game. Like I said, I'm going to focus primarily on the teacher dashboard, but that kind of serves as a portal to all of these other features and supports that are built into the system. So the teacher dashboard looks something like this. It has information about all of the students, and most of the reporting is done by content standard. And then you can see you get a brief snapshot about how all of your students and all of your users are doing in these visually color-coded ways. If you want to know more about a particular student, you can select that student, and you'll get an individual mastery report where you can get sort of more information about what the content standard is and how they're doing. If you want to know how a particular student is doing on a particular standard, you can select that standard. If you do, you'll get information about dates and times that they encountered that standard within the game. And then there's information about the chapter and the part in which it occurred and how they did on the items that they encountered. If you want to know a little bit more about the items that they encountered and their responses, you can select a particular column. If you do that, then it will be populated over here with each of the items and their response and whether they were correct or not. You can also see that you can get more information here about the standard itself and all that's included there. If you want to access more information about a particular standard, you can select that standard. If you do that, then you'll see that you get sort of the synopsis of the standard, but then also resources that are built into the system that can support students in sort of gaining more experience and more practice with particular skills within that standard. So if you select this instructional routine, for example, you'll be linked to a PDF that has a sort of brief lesson plan, and it's scripted and has all of the materials that are necessary. So it's intended to be a 5 to 10 minute sort of lesson that you can use to teach students and reinforce skills within target standards. You'll see you can also select practice sheets that may appear. So if you select one of those, then you'll be taken to a link again for a worksheet or a practice sheet that students can use to sort of reinforce the skills and practice additionally at home or on their own. And these are intended, for first grade students with so there's not a lot of text that they need to read in their examples. So the idea is that they can do these sheets pretty independently. So in addition to the resources and the reporting in the dashboard, there's also the option to personalize NumberShire for individual users. So you'll see here that there's some features that you can set for each of the users, and you can select it for all of the users or for individual students, depending on their preferences, learning styles, motivation, and sort of how they're performing in the game. So you'll see one thing you can do is allow the students to access their house and other rewards prior to playing a session. So usually they can do that once they've completed a session, but they can also do it in the beginning if that's something that helps orient students to the game. So this is just a quick snapshot of their house and the features that are there, but there's a closet where they can personalize their outfit for their character and change that. There's also a treasure chest where they have all of the rewards that they've earned throughout the game, so they can see those again and see, what's to come. And then there's also a pet house where they can visit pets that they've earned and sort of owned throughout the game. They can also select a pet that will come with them on adventures. So another thing you can personalize and individualize for students is the ability to select a previously played session. So naturally, the student will just be queued up to the next session in line, which is part of sort of a carefully sequenced prerequisite sort of outline of the content. But you can also allow them to select their own previously played session. So they'd see a screen something like this, and they'd be able to navigate backwards with the arrows and play sessions that they'd played before. Lastly, you can allow students to skip or repeat activities. So one of the enhanced features that we've built into NumberShire is this ability to sort of allow some choice in navigation to increase motivation and interest, and then also engagement in the game. So some of the flexible pacing options look like this. If they're playing and they weren't paying attention to the directions or realize that they had been doing something wrong, they could select to repeat the activity. So if they select this repeat button, they're prompted if they want to repeat. And if they do, then it shows that it's restarting and it'll restart the activity from the beginning. They also have the option to skip practice activities. So if it's something that's just fluency building or something they've done before and this is just additional practice, they have the option to skip. But like I said, they can only skip the practice activities or fluency building things. So if the elder is there providing instructions, they're not able to skip. So they can't skip new content or instructional content, but they can skip things that maybe they've already done before. Another thing that you're able to personalize for students is the session that they are assigned to. So you'll see what's naturally assigned to them, and that's sort of what's going to come within the sequence each time, chapter 12, part 4, and then it will go to chapter 13. If you want to assign a particular session, then you can use this drop-down menu. And you'll see that it drops down, you can select the session you want, and then once it's assigned, the target standards that are targeted in that session will repopulate so you can see what they're going to work on. If you want additional information about what's included in each chapter or part or how to make decisions about where to assign students, you can access the Resource Center. So this is the bar at the top of the dashboard. In the Resource Center, within the NumberShire implementation section, there is manual, other resources to support implementation, like a graduation certificate and other sort of incentives. But there are also some valuable resources about sort of the NumberShire structure, the storyline, what the theme of each chapter and week, and then the content coverage so that you can get a better sense of where you want to assign kids to play if you're assigning sessions. Within the Resource Center, I just want to point out quickly that there's also the Differentiated Instruction tab. And actually, there are other tabs that could be super interesting with resources about best practices in math instruction, and then also goal setting and database decision-making resources in the multi-tiered systems of support section. But in the differentiated instruction section is where you'd find the instructional routines and practice sheets for all of the different weeks and lessons and content standards. So that was real quickly an overview of NumberShire. You can reach us at the email here, so ns1its@uoregon.edu. You could also always reach me via email at uoregon. And then I really encourage you to check out our website at numbershire.com. There is a video that gives you an idea of sort of the feel of NumberShire and the characters and the content. There's also a demo that you can play, so you can access that demo and see sort of the pacing and some of the content and activities in NumberShire. And then also links to access the integrated tutor system and the app if you have an iPad. So thank you again. I look forward to your questions and happy to join you. Thanks.